Hello, StrawHatLucas here, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be giving you guys my first thoughts on Doctor Who Season 1, Episode 3, Boom. Or is it Series 14, Episode 3? I don't know, man. So I wasn't planning on doing first thoughts for every episode, but after watching that, yeah, I had to make a video, guys. I had to. I had to talk about this. So, Episode 3, Boom. I was very glad to see Moffat back. It's been a long minute since we've seen him, since Capaldi's run. So I was ready to get into a story written by him again. And if I'm being honest, this episode felt very, very much like a Moffat episode. And even if I wasn't the biggest fan of some of the choices Moffat made when he was showrunner, it definitely shows that the show is in right hands. Because if I'm being honest, guys, this is one of the best episodes of Doctor Who that we have gotten in years. We open up on the war-torn planet of Kastarian 3, I think is what it was called. Kastarian, one of those two. And we see these two soldiers walking. One of them seems to be blind, and he talks to his daughter through this little communications device that's like in the cheek. Very cool. I like that. Love me some good old style science fiction communication device. Talks to his daughter, all this stuff. His buddy steps on a mine. Yeah, he's gone. He's just gone. And then an ambulance, which is the worst ambulance I've ever seen, then unalives the other man for being blind. Which actually led to one of the funniest moments in the episode, and that's when Ruby's like, being blind isn't fatal. And the doctor's like, you just said that to a dead blind man. And it cracked me up, dude. I laughed so hard. So yes, Doctor hears the man screaming as he's being compressed into what can only be described as a flesh urn, and runs off to save him. And this sets up the whole episode because the Doctor steps on a landmine. I am not a big fan of the trope of isolating the character to one point in the entire episode while everything kind of happens around them in this little area. That said, they pulled it off so well. The Doctor singing to keep himself calm and like the lights flashing up on the mine just had me so tense the entire time. I was so invested in like, how many of those lights are gonna blink? I'm getting ahead of myself. Ruby finds this man's flesh urn and she brings it to the Doctor so he can balance himself on the landmine. And I gotta say, I loved the interaction between Ruby and the Doctor here. The Doctor's telling her, just throw it to me, just throw it to me. Do not get close to me, it'll explode. Don't get close to me. And she doesn't listen. And you can see this almost anger in Ncudi's eyes that she's not listening to him, but at the same time, grateful that she's willing to basically lose her life with him. And it's a really touching moment between the Doctor and a companion. And I'm really starting to get invested in the relationship between Ruby and the Doctor. We then get introduced to Spice, the man who passed away his daughter, and I think it's Monday. It's either Monday or Monday. I could not figure out what they were saying. So yes, the Doctor meets Spice on Monday, and Monday immediately is like, hey, you have John's flesh urn. Hey, I remembered his name. It was John. You have John's flesh urn, and I'm gonna need you to give that to me so that Spice can have it, kind of thing. And she starts shooting his arm, and we find out that the Doctor has become a bomb, and because he's a Time Lord, he is capable of taking out half of the planet. This brings the tension in the episode up to a whole different level. So hijinks ensue, the ambulance comes, it shoots the Doctor, finds out that he's not human. It then attaches itself to Ruby. Ruby gets shot and almost unalives, and we get one of the best first monologues from a Doctor I have heard in a long time. When he was sitting there and yelling at Ruby, like, hey, what are you doing? Like, get up, I need you here. I am constantly talking and I need you to listen to me. Oh my goodness. My wife said it best. She actually looked at me and said, that felt like something David Tennant would say to one of his companions. And that is exactly the kind of vibe I got, which tells me that Ncudi is getting into the role of the Doctor. And in this episode, that hit me more than the last few did. And if you guys watched my rambling addiction on the first two episodes we got of this season, I was already feeling him as the Doctor. So yeah, we got this monologue from him, and it was just so well done. And you can tell it was a Moffat style monologue. And it was just so good. Like, I don't know what else to say about it, guys. It was just so good. So yes, John, the AI that is inside the flesh urn, goes inside of the ambulance and basically stops the war because we find out that there are no people on Hesterian 3. They've just been fighting this algorithm from the company where they get their supplies of war. And that feels just like so Doctor Who-esque, right? Like, am I wrong in that? Like, it just feels like something you see in Doctor Who. It's these humans are not fighting anyone. They're basically fighting themselves and giving this algorithm as many bodies as it requires. So yes, the AI body of John goes inside the ambulances and saves the day. So overall, I have to say this episode was a 10 out of 10. Like, if I were to give this a rating, which I really don't do, I just kind of give my thoughts on things, but if I gave this a rating, it would be a 10 out of 10. This is an instant classic episode of Doctor Who for me. This is something I'm going to see myself rewatching quite a bit. I remember the first time I saw Blink, like how many times I rewatched it in between it coming out and the next episode. Same vibes here. I'm definitely going to be rewatching Boom 2 or 3 more times before next Friday when we here in America get the new episode. Everything in this episode just felt like a step in the right direction for this new era of Who. As I said in my last video, it feels like it's this amalgamation of classic Who, the 2005 run of Who, new Who, if you will, and its own thing. And it's just working so well. I had no doubts in my mind that when Russell T Davies came back that it would be good for the show. I did not realize that him coming back could also bring back Stephen Moffat, which made for, like I said earlier in the video, one of the best episodes of Doctor Who that we've gotten in years. I can honestly say, I think the last time I felt this impressed by an episode of Doctor Who was probably Spyfall, if I'm honest. I really enjoyed that version of the Master. And before that, it was definitely in Capaldi's era. As I said in my last video, I wasn't the biggest fan of Jodie's era, and that had nothing to do with her. I will repeat that as many times as I need to. Nothing to do with Jodie at all. I thought she was a great doctor, but Chibnall's writing style. So seeing RTD come in as showrunner again for this new RTD2 era, and just blowing it out of the water makes me, as a longtime fan of Doctor Who, so happy to see. So yeah, in closing, it was an amazing episode. I hope that you guys also had a similar feeling watching it. I know I was tense the entire time. And as I said, I really don't like those kind of locked in to a certain spot stories, but Moffat just pulled it off so well. But yes, let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of Boom. Like I said, I think this is an instant hit. This is definitely something that deserves multiple rewatches, and I'm gonna give it to it. But yes, I'll be doing first thought videos on every episode of Doctor Who as the season progresses. So if you're new to the channel, give me a sub. I mostly cover anime and manga with my series Rambling Addiction, but I'm really excited to keep covering Doctor Who and share my love of Who with all of you. Also, I forgot to show this off in the last video, but I recently got this signed picture of Peter Davison, and I'm just so in love with it. But yeah, I've been StrawHatLucas. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff, and we will see you guys in the next one. And just remember to have a wonderful night.